Broadcasting live from our Columbia, Maryland headquarters. They are founders of Hard Money Bankers, REI 360, and are international bestsellers with their book, The Whiteboard. Here are Jason Balin and Chris Haddon.
Hey guys, recently Jason and I have been discussing the concept of advanced basics, and we're gonna tell you exactly what that means and how it applies to you, your business, everything you have going on. So I first heard this term from retired, actually it might not be retired, it might have come back, MMA Hall of Fame fighter named BJ Penn. And BJ Penn used this term when he was talking about his martial arts style, meaning that he doesn't get into the flashy and fancy and crazy moves that get a lot of press and highlight reels and stuff like that. Even though he's one of the best, fighters of all time, grapplers, everything else, what he does, he calls a style advanced basics because he is really, really good at the 101, at the block and tackle, getting super technical, super tight, really high level on the basic moves and taking it all the way from a white belt to being a UFC champion, which he was a few times.
Yeah, I think we can relate all this stuff to our personal lives, to our businesses. We're going to go over in a little bit some of the things that we do internally that we feel we're the best at the basics. We're the most advanced at the basics. We're not overcomplicating things. But going back to that term, overcomplicating things, as soon as you start overcomplicating things or you try to make something more complicated than it really is,
and then it should be,
two things either happen. You either don't execute well or you never get started to begin with. So first good example is marketing. Now, you can either do marketing on a basic level or you can do marketing on a really ridiculously crazy level. But you got to be doing marketing like we talk about all the time. Now, we are marketers and we do a ton of marketing, but I think you'd be very surprised to know that a lot of our marketing efforts are advanced basics. That's the advanced 101 for marketing stuff. If we wanted to, and if we were a big enough company, you could have a full-time person doing your PPC, a full-time person running, or multiple people running all of your social, a full-time person for this, a full-time person like that. And we know people that do marketing stuff like that. But instead, we run one or two ads when we do direct mail pieces. We run one or two direct mail pieces. We're not color coding things, and don't get me wrong, if we did all these major advanced things, it would pay off. But to us, it's more important to just execute and do it and make sure it's done consistently. And I like to think that we do all of our stuff, all of our things that we do are basic, but we do them on an advanced level.
For sure. Yeah, and another good example of this concept of advanced basics and where people kind of go astray is real estate, for sure. In real estate investing, there's always some hot news strategy or some, underwater backflip wholesaling, or double sandwich lease options. There's stuff like that that's coming out all the time, and it's mainly just to sell stuff, or people get kind of in love with the idea of like, oh, I'm going to buy properties in these 7 markets because of what's going on demographic. Like, look, we know a lot of people who do well in real estate, and they are not doing that stuff. They just aren't. They're doing the basics, and they're doing them very well. They're buying and holding properties. They're flipping for short-term profits. They're wholesaling for short-term profits. All good stuff, and can go from small in one property and a small
buy a property first. Buy a property first. Buy it local first. Buy a property
in your hometown first.
Wholesale it. Look how it goes, and then move up and move up and move up. Like and don't get me wrong, like. A lot of, going back to this MMA or this BJJ example, there are guys that were very successful that were advanced, even with advanced techniques. But in this particular case, it stood out because there was a lot of power being advanced just based off basic techniques. And so no one's saying as you grow and you evolve as a business person, as a person in general, that you can't do some of the higher level things. But I think what we're trying to get at is you still can be extremely successful probably throughout your entire career by just being the best at the basics and doing the best at what you're currently working on now, instead of trying to just mess up your head and mess up everything else with all kinds of crazy ideas that probably are not going to end up working anyways.
For sure.
What other good examples maybe related to, so we talked about marketing, kind of business in general, investing, maybe financial. We can talk a little bit about related to investing and investing in assets in general. Don't overcomplicate things. I mean, I know we keep using keywords of don't overcomplicate, advanced basics. These are big, powerful words related to that. It's start with something, do it consistently, be the best at that trade, be the best at that individual thing, and then when it's time to get to the next level, great. But you got to be the best at something. You have to be the best beginner before you can move to intermediary. You got to be the best at the basics before you can even get to advanced.
Yeah, if you even ever need to.
Yeah, exactly.
There's people who can get to everywhere they need to be, and using the example of investing, don't get caught up in short-term trading and position trading and the different terms for like day trading type of stuff, or options and this and that. Like your average investor, your average person in the country will never need any of that. Like you contribute to your retirement account, buy some real estate, save this, just the stuff that everyone knows, like the block and tackle, and do it consistently. Like
yeah, no, I agree. And actually, come to think about it, while we've been on camera right now, I'm pretty sure, I've been taking piano lessons for 3 years now, and I'm pretty sure my piano book, the title of it is Advanced Strategies for the Beginner, or something like that. I'm 3 years in, I've got about 5 books that I've gone through, and when I get sheet music, it's beginner sheet music, and some of it's more advanced. It's not, you have 5 fingers and it's, C, D, E, F, G or whatever, but it's a little bit more advanced than that. But it's, you're still at the basics, you're still the beginner, but let's talk about advanced techniques for the beginner. So I think that kind of plays well. Let's talk about a little bit about what we do here at Hard Money Bankers, or one of our other businesses, home buying companies, rental companies, that we do, that hopefully there's some really good takeaways for you of stuff we're doing that you probably be surprised that we consider them still to be basics, even though we may do them advanced basics, but it could be a good takeaway that you could learn and implement in your business today.
I think another word that should be, kind of glued to this topic, this whole concept here, is consistency. So in addition to being technical and tight at the 101 stuff, you always have to do it very, very consistently. Like when it comes to, like, we lend private money. This is the majority of what we do here. We have some side businesses and this and that, but underwriting loans in the right way, managing them in the right way, dealing with our clients in the right way is basic stuff. But you absolutely have to do it. And just earlier, Jason was saying, like, let's talk about some of the deals that have gone wrong, and let's get to the common denominators of why. Like, what do those deals have in common, so that we can apply that to future underwriting? And that's just basic stuff. That's just doing the 101 stuff we've been doing for 10 years, just getting a little bit better at it, a little bit more advanced at something really basic.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, I keep going back to the marketing thing, and ever since this topic was in the top of my head, I'm like, it's just the definition of our marketing strategy is the advanced basics. It really is, because sometimes it pisses me off a little bit that we don't take it to the next level, because we do have the knowledge set to do some of these things. And every time someone comes up to me and be like, hey, should I learn PPC marketing? I was like, yeah, you should learn the basics of it. But if not, it's a full-time job. Just running Google AdWords is a full-time, 6-figure job for the right person who's going to be doing it the right way.
As complicated as you want it to be.
I mean, there's guys that are running 100 different ads with a bunch of different images and this and this and testing this and cheaper there, and that's fine. We're comfortable with our cost per acquisition for a client, and that is what we're sticking with, because it would take us a lot more time, a lot more energy, and take our attention away from other things just to get that a little bit lower.
Totally.
So it makes sense, but obviously highly encouraged to be doing marketing. That's a completely different topic, but doing it, and just make sure you're doing the basics, and then work your way up to it. Another example is kind of our rental portfolio. Like, we know exactly what we want for our rentals, and whenever something comes out of the mix, we're out. Like, we're not trying to do anything crazy. I mean, besides doing there's not crazy strategies. Now, don't get me wrong, there's money to be made in some of these crazy and sophisticated strategies.
There are.
But there's also brain damage and other things that are involved in them. And I want to keep it simple. It's these are the numbers, does it work, does it not work? And if it doesn't work, move on to the next one. And keep it very simple, because if not, you're just going to be spinning your wheels and driving yourself crazy.
And there will be a next one, because our marketing is consistent. Right? So it all ties together.
All goes back to that. Anything else real quick that we do that we think the audience could, utilize, that we do really good, but are advanced basics? I like saying the word advanced basics. It's a good work. Anything we do that's surprisingly basic?
I have another one. I have one.
That's what it is. Surprisingly basic, but people think it's more advanced.
Okay, here's a good one.
Advanced and surprisingly basic.
Yeah. Here's a good one. We frequently look at financial reports from our different companies. Boom. I'm just kidding. That's not that earth-shattering. Most people don't make it there. That's a 101 thing. If you take any business class or accounting stuff, or if you talk to any advisors having to do with business, they're going to be like, track your numbers and track it right. And one, I think a lot of people in different aspects of business just won't do it. They just won't do it. And two, they might not have the right data going into the report, so they might be looking at the wrong stuff.
Yeah,
that's a basic thing, but our reports are on. Like I remember we had a partnership a few years ago where we would look at monthly reports, but they were always wrong. I was like, what's the point?
I actually thought you were going to go in a little bit different direction with this, and
proper financial reporting.
Yeah, but also I think a lot of people overanalyze, oh, well, I'm going to need this report, this report, this report, this report, this report, and I don't believe that to be true. I think, for instance, if you're buying a property and you're flipping it, you need a cash balance per property, so you know exactly how much money you have allocated left for your project.
Sure.
I mean, there's only two reports that we look at in our lending portfolio all the time. It's how much construction money or how much money we have set aside for a project, and what our trend is related to our loans and processing, and who's on time and who's not on time.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't.
I mean, we're doing like your basic like P&L balance sheets.
Agreed.
Like that too.
Agreed. But I think there's two sides of this. The one side is you never get started and you never execute because you think it's overcomplicated. On the other side, most people overcomplicated it to begin with, and then they just drive themselves crazy because it's just stick to the basics. And if you can't find, in this example, a basic report related to business in general, comment below in our video, and we will, we can share, no matter what business you are, 1 or 2 or 3 really easy reports that you can either pull out from QuickBooks or you can pull out from whatever other financial or accounting software that you're working on.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I think that was a good one. Bringing it back around to bottom line stuff, because in the end, that's what we're all doing it for. And if you don't know what your numbers are, there's something very, very basic that you might want to be advanced at.
Cool. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you got something out of it. Like we said earlier, feel free to comment below. We went over a lot of things. Would love to hear or share with you any things, or you can share with us some really good things that you're doing that you believe are advanced basics.
Yeah. Maybe throw one thing out there that you'd say is a basic thing that you're very, very good at, so that other people can read about and learn from, apply to their own business, hopefully.
As always, like, comment, share, subscribe. Until next time.